Hello, my dear friends of the land of faces and the book. Elizabeth Maria Caraballo here. We are on day 3. Today's day is about the swan. And this time, I remembered to bring out the card. It's going to be backwards because we're on live. But you can see her. She's beautiful. Hey, Lori. Whoop, whoop. We still haven't gotten together. Hi, Carrie. So today is about the swan. So allow me to introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Elizabeth Maria Caraballo. You can call me Liz. And hi, Isa. My website, elizabethmariacaraballo.com, has the actual blog. Mwah. So the blog is a lot more in depth than the live, but hopefully if you get a chance, you can go read it. I really work hard on these things. I didn't really realize what I was getting into when I decided to do this. And I didn't decide it. I just really felt called to do it. That's just what I did. I really felt called. I tried to argue out of it, but it made itself happen. And I'm totally okay with it. And this card was really helpful. So I'm going to give you a little background on, let's just talk about the card and then we'll talk about today. Today is January 11th, 2017. And for a lot of people in the metaphysical world, it's a really exciting day because anytime you see the number 11, especially in a date, it refers to a portal or like an opening, an opportunity. And largely people look at it to manifestation. We are in a culture that really requires the attaining of things, right? So it's not a bad thing. It does shift our focus on stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the swan. Again, I'm using the Animal Medicine cards by Jamie Sands and David Carson. It's a beautiful series. I've been using it for a little over 20 years. And this particular card is about grace. Grace. Today, for me, on a personal level, was difficult. I had moments where there was no grace. And sometime in the afternoon, I just was like, I was done. I had a headache. I was emotional. And I just stopped and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I just stopped and I asked. And sometimes that's what happens. But the story of the swan that they tell in this book is probably one of my favorites of all the stories. And if you have a penchant for the underdog, you're going to love this story too. So the story begins as Swan was very young. So, duckling. So Swan was flying and trying to find the future. Swan stopped at dream time. I'm going to refer to my book to make sure I get these statements right. A lot of times in any kind of indigenous or native stories, you'll find things that are nouns like dragonfly and swan are the names. And they are archetypes to denote certain things. So we'll go on. Anyways, so the dream time. So dream time was a pond. And she flew down, just decided I need to take a rest here. The little duckling wings trying to run everywhere. And she looked up and saw over Sacred Mountain this huge black swirling hole. She was like, whoa. So Dragonfly flies by and she's like, hey, Dragonfly, what is that? And he's like, oh, well, that's the portal to imagination. I have been, guardian of that for many, many moons. That's storytellers speak for a long freaking time. And she's like, oh. He's like, well, if you want to go in there, you have to earn the right. And she was like, okay. Well, what do I have to do? This part I'm going to read because I've read this story so many times over the 20 years I've had this. And it is still so profound, this next part, to me, that I have to read it over and over because my human brain is still trying to accept this because it's that deep, okay? Buckle up. Swan goes, okay, so what do I have to do? And he says, you must be willing to accept whatever the future holds as it is presented without trying to change Great Spirit's plan. I'm going to just hold on for a second there. You, in order to get there, have to accept whatever you see and promise that you're not going to try and change the plan. How many of us would enter anything with that kind of a caveat? I, I mean, especially for us Americans, we have so much that we get to control and change to make us comfortable. That's a really big request. Okay, so this is the part that I have to always read. This is what Swan says back. I mean, she took a second. She then says, I will be happy to abide by Great Spirit's plan. I won't fight the currents of the black hole. I will surrender to the flow of the spiral and trust what I am shown. What? I read that over and over. I've read this so many times, and I'm like, what? I would have failed that test. I would have so failed that test. That would not have been. Maybe that was the wisdom of youth, the willingness to submit. Maybe it was her desire was so strong to know the future, to find the future, that she was willing to get into anything. But hi Meg, mwah. But I don't have, I'm pretty married to my desire to control things. You know, I really love being able to make things be the way I want them to be. So anyways, moving on. Of course, the dragonfly was like, oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Of course you can enter. So he lets her in. She goes in. So this is how she goes in. He breaks the illusion of the pond. A pond swirls and swirls and swirls and swallows her up in a whirlpool in the middle of the pond. Terrifying. I mean, when I go through these stories, I think of them as I am that being. Because this is where the lesson is. So she's like, little tiny duckling, whatever you say is fine. Dragonfly's like, good answer. The pond opens up and swallows her. A few days later, Swan shows up. But Swan is now gorgeous. She's white. She's larger. She's got a long neck. And she is graceful. And Dragonfly's like, hey, Swan. You look really good. What happened? And this is what she says. I love this one. She's a badass mother trucker. Here she goes. She goes, Dragonfly, I learned to surrender my body to the power of Great Spirit and was taken to where the future lives. I saw many wonders high on Sacred Mountain, and because of my faith and my acceptance, I have been changed. I have learned to accept the state of grace. Every time I read that part, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. Even today, today I had to bump my head up against a couple of things. And the ability to surrender and just be like, okay, I'm just going to go with the flow. Life says no, I turn where it says yes. And if it says no, I'm going to turn again. That is not easy. That is not easy. Because sometimes the standards and the things that we're looking for have nothing to do with just comfort. They can have to do with bigger things outside of us, like trying to get someone's love, trying to do better by our children, trying to look better, trying to feel better, trying to, we have a lot of that. Try. Meg girl, I need this ability too. I'm working on it. But, in this story, they say that this is asking you to accept all levels of consciousness, to integrate it. And it's also asking you to submit to something much greater than you. But I felt like this was today's card for a couple reasons. One, it spoke to me. It spoke to me in that my purpose in this life and my desire is not necessarily to do what I want to do. That's just a marker, a beginning point. I am open to what is greater and bestest for me. And I've also opened my life up to an idea of service. So that puts me in a place where I'm not going to control and I'm just going to have to receive and respond accordingly. But today is that special day. Today is January 1st, or January 11th. So it's a 1 and then an 11. And you'll see lots of stuff, especially if you follow any kinds of, hi Rachel, if you follow any kinds of like metaphysical people or astrological or numerology, they're like, this is a powerful, powerful day. It's a portal. It's a portal. So they say, focus on what you love, focus on what you want, focus on where you want to go. Okay. And don't give any attention to your fears. I know that sounds really awesome and it sounds like it makes sense, but there is something in that message, just like a lot of the positive affirmation type messages, that to me is a little off, and I get a little weirdness. And I think this card really told me why today. Because instead of me approaching this day and focusing on selling tons of jewelry, or getting to make tons of beautiful talismans and crystallizing people's intentions with beautiful stuff, or helping other people get through their transitions and feeling great, and that maybe my power today, maybe this portal, if I really want to utilize this portal to the biggest and highest and best and most magnificent of all possibilities, maybe really what it's saying is that I approach it this way. Instead of all day going, sell, be, do, all these little like human things, maybe today, this moment, this portal, if I want to go further than I've ever gone before, I'm walking through this portal today, trusting that the universe, God, divine, not only knows my request because I've come here in search, but can take me further than I ever imagined if I just let it be. If I accept where I've been given and how I'm changed, and I try not to change the plan. That is a powerful and revolutionary way to look at manifestation, to look at the art of creating a business, a family, a personal change in life. To say, this desire that I have can be that and much more, and I'm willing to give that to something that is much more profound and magnificent and knowing than I am. And instead of attaching myself to the condition of saying, well, I'm only happy if I wear purple, I really only like to drive a four-wheeler, and I need this and I need that, to go, okay, I'm going to hang up my conditions. Hi, Jose. I'm going to hang up my conditions, and I'm going to submit myself to a plan and a vision that I cannot control, and I choose not to. And not only that, I'm going to do it willingly and lovingly and faithfully. And not even faithfully like every single day, but faithfully as in I have faith and trust and confidence that I will only become better by walking through this portal and submitting to that greater thing. This is powerful medicine, and this is perfect timing. Not just because today is 1/11 and all that stuff, but as we are in the new year, and we're all got these goals. I'm going to sell, I'm going to make something great, I'm going to do this, we're going to learn this, and we're going to chop that down, and we're going to build this up, and blah, blah, blah. That maybe some of those plans aren't really just about that. Maybe those plans is just the desire, the plant, the seed of desire that puts us at the crossroads where we can do so much more. See, her desire wasn't necessarily to become a swan. Her desire was to find the future. And she had to pass through the needle of the eye of the needle, and she was willing to do that. And she let go of her own desires, pretense, and rules to fit through that tiny portal in that crazy multiple dimensions, and was transformed and showed up beautiful, profoundly changed, magnetic to those around her. The swan is the most celebrated fowl bird in almost all of literature. In almost every single culture that has a swan throughout history, they are represented as a magical creature, something that represents beauty, mysticism, just gloriousness. And this story talks about how it began with a little tiny duckling in the pursuit of one thing and one thing only, and she was willing to submit to all of it to get there. And yeah, prologue or epilogue or whatever. Side note, she did get to see the future. She saw amazing things up there. But never once did she demand it come to her. Never once did she ask for something different. And never once did she plan to change what was going to happen in the future. That is powerful. That is vulnerable. That is strength. I know, I love it too, Jose. I think that is the true power. And I also think this is the lesson of our children. This is what they teach us. We love our kids. We do. We're wired. There are always those extreme cases where something is off, but we are wired to love our children. And they force us to go outside of our rules to be something greater so that they can receive that love the way they need it, not the way we need to give it to them. This is a lesson that goes beyond today. It goes beyond so much else. This is the lesson of submission. And in that submission, it's trust. Because this is about realizing that we are too tiny and meager and singly focused to be able to make the wiser, best decision with all of time and all of creation in mind. That is not our job. Our job is to have a desire, to walk through the eye of the needle, and to allow this beautiful body, this beautiful soul that can morph and change and be something that we've never heard or thought of at the end of that process, because we allowed that submission. And I'll tell you what, they didn't talk about Swan's journey in there, but I'm pretty sure she had discomfort. I'm pretty sure, I realize my earrings are smacking this, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't all rosy. But I know that her commitment to submit to whatever that path was and to choose to never try to change it made that road probably a lot more easier than the way most of us would do it. We come in, we place a condition, we say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not working. That doesn't work right. That's not okay. Hi, Jacqueline. I just got to breathe a second. This was a powerful message for me to receive because today didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And this was also a day where I caught on to that whole vibe of 111, the portal, only focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want or what you're afraid of. My mind got caught up like, what, because I was sad for a minute. I was like, oh shit, am I going to make something sad happen? Oh my God. Then I realized after I read this, no. Let me take it down a notch. The divine knows I'm human. And the divine's just looking for me to greet this opportunity with willingness. All right, guys, thank you so very much. Like I said, I'm going to post the link to the actual written blog that I have about this. If you didn't get to watch this with me, you could always watch the replay, or you can just head over to my website and you can see the blog. I will post this video on it later, just for future reference. But enjoy. Take this day to not only manifest your wildest dreams, but to allow that to go, to see what the divine will bring you, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, because I know for a fact there's nothing you can imagine that the divine can't blow out the water in a second with their plans. So have a beautiful day. Take a little time for yourself today. Imagine the feeling of evolution and of becoming something that you never thought you could be. It's within all of us. Have a beautiful night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.